rolling. Audio feed. Audio feeded. This is what happens when you hang out with your filmmaking husband for too long. Hey friends, we're back. I am joining you today from, can you see it? This beautiful grandpa chair. Wait, let me actually show you guys. This is such a good chair. Look at her. Wow. So pretty. Seriously, so pretty. So here's the thing. My husband, whoa, that is not the right place. There we go. Okay, my husband was like, hey, can I get this chair on Facebook Marketplace for my office? And I was like, yeah, totally, like, get it. He didn't show me what it was. I was like, it's your office, like, go for it. And he's like, yeah, it's like only $20-$30. And I was like, yeah, totally. So he goes to pick it up, brings it home, and immediately brings it in. I'm like, that's a cute chair. It's like such a cute chair. And he was like, yeah, it's for my office. And I'm like, good. He's like, do you want it in the living room? I was like, wow, like, I actually do want it in the living room. Like, so cute of you to notice. So we used to have a peacock chair here, and I just think we outgrew the style, and I was ready for a change. So in my head, I had been thinking about switching the peacock chair out for a while, but then he actually brought this cutie home, and I was like, can we just use that one? So he's fine about it, because now I have to find a whole new chair for my office. I'm like, it's all good, because now we get the cute chair out here. So this is a cute grandpa chair. She's beautiful. If you're not watching, it's a emerald green leather, and it's like really cute. It's got like natural wood elements on the side. It's very, very comfortable. We love to see it. So hey, so anyway, if you're back this week, thanks for tuning in. I hope it's warm and sunny and breezy and beautiful wherever you are, or that the rain is nourishing your land and that God is providing water for your crop. I don't know what's happening today. Anyway, I'm happy you're here. I'm going to be talking about wedding stuff today, a little wedding update from my end of things as a photographer. So you're going to hear a little bit about some recent wedding days I've done, as well as if you are planning your own wedding, some tips on how to book things. Like, I feel like when you're engaged, it's like every blog post in the world has an opinion about how you should do things, how much you should spend, all this crazy stuff, all this advice. And frankly, a lot of it is just like uncalled for or unnecessary. I think weddings can get so overblown, and people can think they have to be this huge party and this huge expense. And sometimes they are. And if you want to do that and want to use your money in that way, go for it. But a lot of times people just get really overwhelmed with the decision fatigue around the whole thing and just want some clear answers. So I'm not saying I know everything, because I definitely don't, but I have been a wedding photographer for over 11 years. So I have seen a lot of things and definitely have an opinion or two that might be able to help you if you're in the wedding planning season. And if you're not engaged and you just are curious about how the wedding industry works, especially from a photographer's perspective, you can tune in. So we're going to jump into this episode right after the theme song. Also, guys, my curls are going absolutely crazy today, as you can see. But look how long this hair is. I actually have a hair appointment with my girl Deva at Helia Salon and Wellness up in Fredericktown, Ohio next week. I'm so excited about it. I'm not going to do anything insane, but I am going to like add a couple like lighter pieces and trim up the dead ends. So very pumped for that. That's one of those little things that I, as a kid, was like, I'll always just cut my own hair. It's curly. It's crazy. I do still cut my hair a lot. But when it comes to like the dyeing stuff, I've tried stuff at home and it never turns out as good. So one of those little pleasures that I like. Okay, so let's talk weddings here for a second. I've seen so many. I need to calculate this. I wanted to do like a reel when I crossed over like photographing 100 weddings, but I think I already passed it. And I also don't feel like downloading one image from every single wedding over the last decade and some. Sounds like kind of the worst, but I was like, it would be really cool to see that progress. And I don't know, it's like a fun thing. I did start this when I was a child and had no idea what I was doing. But anyway, I've seen a lot of weddings, and I feel like I have photographed weddings anywhere from micro budgets and, Hocking Hills elopements to luxury, probably $150,000 budget weddings in very fancy venues. So seen a lot of things going on. And when I talk with couples, like usually when they're on the smaller budget end, they're like, I really just want to remember the day, celebrate our marriage, and have my friends and family there. And then when I talk to the really higher budget ends, they're like, I really want to celebrate my marriage and I want to have an awesome party. And both are like a really good way to look at the wedding day. I think if you have the funds and want to do that larger party, that's fantastic. But my biggest piece of advice for that couple would be hire a wedding planner immediately, probably the very first thing you're going to do, so that you're not overwhelmed with all these decisions. Because if you have the funds to like go crazy with the florals, have a live band, like do a live painter, have some fun like excursion as a part of the wedding weekend, do it. But it's going to require so many more choices and decisions and booking and scheduling. So I would say get on a wedding vendor site, Google The Knot, Instagram, whatever. Look for an awesome and highly rated wedding day planner and like wedding planner. I guess you want like full service or not just the day, like the whole vibe. You get it. So that would be my advice for this. Now, if you were more like me and my husband, when we got married, we were like, we have a budget, like a little budget. And we just wanted to celebrate our marriage and have our friends and family there. It was also during COVID. We're going to do an episode later this year about our COVID wedding. And Ian will be on that one too. So you get to hear from him. But it's like sometimes when you're just looking at a couple dollars in your bank account going, I just want to marry my best friend and I don't have a lot of wiggle room, but I also want it to be a nice thing. I want to remember my day. I want to like have fun with it, but there's not a lot like to play with here. You can still make that happen. And I worked with, as a photographer, I've worked with couples all the time from both ends of the spectrum. So it really just depends on what you value when it comes to your wedding day. And so I would say to that couple who's budgeting a little bit more, decide on your max budget and give yourself enough time to delegate and DIY a lot of the ideas that you have to make it truly like a phenomenal and a fun event. You don't have to go crazy like this couple up here because the funds aren't there, and that is okay. You can invest in your marriage down the line. You can invest in your house. You can save what you can save for the next step, but you can still make a really fun, memorable party. It just might require more time. So when I go through this list, I'm going to be talking about kind of the order to book your vendors in, and I just don't want people who are on the budget to think, oh my gosh, there's so many vendors. I have to get all these things in place. I don't even have enough money to do it, or I want to do it, but I can't hire the highest end version of the vendor that I would want. I don't want the day to look kind of sloppy. Don't freak out. I was there. I DIY'd almost everything. And I think our day turned out pretty fantastically because guess what? At the end of the day, we got to be married. And that's what it was. That's what it was for. But it also was still really beautiful. And I'll tell you some of the reasons on why. And it's more than just the budget, the decor, whatever. Okay, so let's jump in. I actually wrote a blog post on this. It's on my website, indiajadephoto.com, baby. I finally got around to updating it from my maiden name to my business name. So now indiajadephoto.com instead of Indy J. Orban. So yay. Okay, so if you want to see the written form of this, it's all here, but I'll kind of walk through some of it and add a couple caveats as well. So the very first thing, once you get engaged and you've celebrated and you've announced it to your friends and family, yay. The very first thing I would suggest booking on either side of the budget is a wedding day coordinator. I'm going to cancel that right now. I'm going to change my mind. The very first thing you should book is probably your venue. So whether you're on, budget or higher end budget, book your venue first for a date. That any date, like make sure it's the date you want, it's the venue you want. I would start booking tours if you want to look around, or if you already know what it is, what place you want to get married at, go check out an open house or just go to their website and start the inquiry process. Because once you know your venue, the where and the when, and once you know your date, you can then go to a coordinator, a photographer, whatever, and say, I'm getting married on this date, at this time, at this place, and I'm looking for your services. Are you free? Because sometimes you reach out to a venue coordinator and they're like, I'm already booked that day. But then you're not even sure if the day is locked in because you don't know where it's going to be yet. So that's why I would say that. All right, so the first thing would be your venue. and then go for the wedding day coordinator or the full service coordinator. Again, if you have the budget to do it, I think it's a great investment to make sure the process, the party, the day goes very smoothly. Booking everyone, that's kind of like the middleman person that's going to say, here's all your questions, here's all your concerns. You've never done this before, most likely. And they have done this a million times. So they can go, here are my recommended vendors, here are people I trust with business, and then kind of present you some options and you can kind of go for it and make a choice. So it's a great investment. Now, we did not do that for our wedding day because we didn't have the budget. And sometimes those services can be pretty expensive. So since I've seen a lot, I kind of knew a little bit of who I wanted to hire already, but I did do a big amount of searching and Googling and having friends help out with things. Another way you can do this if you're on the budget side and you don't have the funds for a coordinator is enlist a friend who is in the event world in any capacity. So if they have done any kind of organization for live events, that would be a great person to reach out to. I reached out to my friend. Carly was actually supposed to coordinate our wedding day and she was helping me a little bit. And then she got COVID like the month of, and it just like, she couldn't come to the wedding. She'd be coming out of state and there's laws and all this stuff. So it was a crazy time. So then I had to enlist my friend Erin to help on the actual wedding day. And she did such a great job helping us get through the day and everything was very organized. So enlisting a friend is a really great option. Someone, again, with a little event experience. But honestly, if they don't have that experience and you just need to hire someone but don't have the funds for like a full experienced set, go to Instagram, type in a few like event coordinator or wedding coordinator. Look for someone who's just starting or maybe like only a few weddings in. They might not be as experienced, but you can always find the vendors on your own. You're just really needing someone to help the day of kind of make sure the whole thing runs smoothly. So that's my little piece of advice right there. And obviously if you have any, like if you are planning a wedding in the Midwest and want a list of wedding coordinators, I know so many. So like, please reach out. I will happily send them your way. Okay. Then the next thing you want to book is a photographer. Yay! And I'm just saying that because I like knowing ahead of time, like when people are getting married, but genuinely, once you know where and when and who's helping you with the day, it's time to get your media team underway. And I personally, as a photographer, like booking about 12 to 18 months out. The reason is it helps me get a snapshot of like, this is a couple who's planning ahead. Whether you have a lot of budget or a little budget, this is like, hey, you know when you're getting married and you're going to take that time of your engagement season to get to know each other, do premarital counseling, DIY some decor, whatever it is. Or you have very busy lives and you just want to like put a date out there to give your friends and family a far enough notice so they can save up and travel out to your event. So I like knowing that as a photographer, like, hey, these people are planning ahead and they're committed, they're locking in their date, let's do this thing. So it doesn't bother me if people reach out with a date that's like 18 months away. I think it helps a lot to lock that in. And I know some people, I get inquiries from like a month or 2 months out from the wedding date. I'm like, what? Like, I don't know if that's common knowledge, but I think it really should be. Like, definitely you want to prioritize booking those first few things as soon as you can, like the date, the venue, the coordinator, and then your media team. So photographer and videographer, if you would like one. But yes, definitely do not hesitate on reaching out to a photographer because I think it's April right now, April 2024, and I have weddings all the way booked out through October 2025 right now, which is crazy. But there's definitely still room on my October or my whole 2025 calendar. But I've got probably 8 weddings that are already booked for next year. So I already know what meal I'm going to be eating next October and where I'm going to be. But it is like, that's how far in advance coordinators and couples like to book things. So definitely reach out if you are on the fence. Okay. And then, like I said, the next would be a videographer. Again, maybe like 12 to 18 months out from your wedding date, maybe a little sooner. A lot of videographers don't book out as far as photographers, but I'm married to one and he likes to know as well what he's doing kind of in advance. But you're probably going to find more options as a videographer the closer you get, whereas the wedding photographers might be more fully booked because they've got, engagements, couples stuff, maternity, all kinds of other photo shoots competing for those wedding weekends as well. Okay, so then I would say the next thing is a dress appointment. Dress appointments when I was getting engaged, like when I was engaged, I had no idea that dress appointments, like, I don't know. I didn't realize that it was a whole process. You couldn't just like walk into a bridal store and like look around. You had to like schedule a time, and then they would go around and pick out dresses for you and give you like 5 to try on. I didn't know that was the 5. I thought it was like in the movies where you could walk around, pull things off the hanger in their little bag and go, I like this one, and then give it a try. So I was a little thrown by that because it just adds another step into the process. I'm sure there's a reason, like, you don't want all these girls coming in and just putting their hands on things, or you never know what that's going to be like. But it was a little weird, but it just took more time than I thought. And we had probably an 8-month engagement. So again, with COVID, there was all of this other red tape to jump through. So it was definitely more of a process. And finding a dress, once you find it, sometimes it needs alterations, it needs ordered from the certain brand. And it's like, dress places usually don't turn around anything under 6 months. I had no idea unless it was like directly off the rack and needed no alterations. So it was definitely like something crazy when we were getting married that I was not aware of. I ended up getting mine from Dreamers and Lovers. They're in California. And I did like order a sample dress of 2 different options, tried it on at home, and then sent them my measurements, and they built me a dress from scratch based on my measurements, which was awesome. And I loved that dress. So shout out to Dreamers and Lovers. But I did have to expedite it because it took like 5 or 6 months for them to do that. And after I placed the order, it was like, I will arrive on November 18th. And I was like, our wedding's November 7th. And they were like, okay, I'll be there November 18th. And I was like, I'll be on my honeymoon. Like, please give me my dress. So I had to like call them and pay extra to get it there sooner. It literally, guys, I didn't have any try-ons or anything in person. The dress arrived the day before my rehearsal dinner. Like the day before. So if it didn't fit, I would have been screwed. But it fit like a glove. That was perfect. Okay. So I would say the next thing you need to book after you've got those pieces in place is probably your live music or your DJ or your band. Anything like that. Maybe like 8 months out from the wedding date. And again, if you are doing a wedding date in a shorter timeline, this is all just a suggestion of what I've seen. I feel like most couples do about a year-long engagement. So that's why I'm kind of giving these like estimates. But some people do much shorter engagements, and there's definitely still vendors available. So don't let this freak you out at all. You never know when someone's available on your date, but just obviously the more time, the better. Okay. So then another step would be your caterer and bartenders. I would say maybe 5 to 6 months out from the wedding date. That would be helpful just to know who, like, you want to do bookings with, your meal tasting with them, kind of decide on your menu, and if they're doing a cake, or if you want to do a bakery as another option, like dessert somewhere else. You got to do all those in-person taste tests if you want to do that. Again, don't let that freak you out. But keep in mind, like when you're engaged, a lot of your date nights may turn into having a meeting with your florist or your photographer or your DJ, or going to taste a cake, or going to taste food, or going to sign a contract or do a walkthrough of your venue. Like, I didn't know that there was that many in-person things involved. So it can get kind of stressful. But just keep these things in mind, and maybe that'll help inform how long your engagement season is, just so that you're not, stressing yourself out if you're in work or school or anything like that. Okay, so then the next thing I would say you would probably want to book would be your florist, probably 4 to 6 months out from the wedding date. I know a lot of florists that can work very quickly on, timeline wise, but you're going to want to book them sooner rather than later, because they know when flowers are in season, when to order them, how to arrange them. And if you're doing huge installations or something very unique, or your design is like very specific, they're going to have to like hire and contract out more of their team members and employees for that weekend, as well as cut down different like wiring and floral foam and cages to help bring your vision to life. Does that make sense? So the sooner the better. Again, if you need recommendations, I know some awesome florists in Central Ohio who travel. So definitely don't want to sleep on the florists. Now, if you're on the budget side, when I was getting married, we did not have that much money at all for flowers. So we enlisted one of my friends to help out with it. went to Trader Joe's. We got white roses and cream roses and a bunch of dried flowers for Hobby Lobby, as well as we foraged. Like Ian hops out of the car on the side of the freeway to cut down pampas grass, and we walked around his parents' field and got a bunch of like dried bundles. And so between me and my friend, we made all the boutonnieres, all the bouquets, and the huge like floral display for, I would say it's probably $400 spent on flowers themselves, and then maybe another $400 on material and all that stuff. So $800, and I think it turned out pretty cute. Like I really liked it. But the reason again is just we didn't have the budget, and the first florist I reached out to, I loved her work and I was really excited about it, but she quoted me $1,000 for just the girls' bouquets, and that was like, she was like, at least $1,000 for 10 bouquets, and I was like, no, I'm sorry, I just literally could not pull the money out of my butt. So hopefully that's not the same thing for you, but if it is, that's all good. You can always make your own stuff, take a floral class at Joanne Fabrics, or watch a YouTuber, forage for some stuff. There's ways to make it really nice. You could always do something like a baby's breath bouquet, or all greenery, or like one single long stem rose with like a big ribbon. There are so many ways. All right. The next thing I would consider booking would be decor and rentals, probably 3 to 4 months out from the wedding date. Again, if you talk to a rental company, they might have a different suggestion. The more time you can give them a heads up, the better. But don't sleep on decor and rentals. I think if you've got that party budget, use it. This is a great way to make your space feel elevated, feel really cozy, and be an awesome atmosphere for your party. That's anything from like tents that you get married in for like a summer wedding outside, or if you want a big chandelier, or if you want fog machines, or very specific chairs, linens, china, anything like that. If you want a little lounge seating area outside, something to get married, like an arbor to get married under, that would all fall into the decor and anything you can rent kind of budget. I started a rental business a couple years ago. I no longer do it. If you were wondering why Ohio has been so empty, just because it was like, oh wait, this is a lot to juggle. So I had to kind of close the stores, but it was a lot of fun. It taught me a lot of things about the rental and decor business. So it's a lot of fun to kind of envision, like if someone comes to you and says, this is my design, I want my wedding day to look like this. How fun is that? You get to be a part of that. So, okay. So then the next thing I would book, if you haven't already with the caterer, would be desserts and a baker to help make your wedding cake or your desserts. Again, if you are on this level and you've got the funds, go crazy, have fun, get something delicious, and make sure everyone gets to take a little dessert home. And if you're on this level, you can always do a smaller cake, no cake, do something custom like a pie, or just do a Youngstown cookie table. So I'm sure a lot of you guys are aware of what that is. I've seen some people argue it's Pittsburgh cookie table. Some people say Youngstown cookie table. It's somewhere in the East Ohio, West PA area. So everyone brings cookies to your wedding celebration, and then you just like fill the whole table with dessert. So it's kind of like potluck style, but it's really cute and sweet, and it saves you a lot on that budget. We did not have enough folks who had baking skills, especially because it was COVID era. So we asked a couple people, and they all came through and got us some really nice desserts that helped the table because we didn't have the funds for a huge cake or anything. And my biggest wedding regret is that I hired an amazing baker. My friend's mom's bakery is called Slice of Heaven Seabus, and she's so talented. My biggest regret is that I didn't actually get to eat my wedding cake. Like, someone cut us a slice and laid it on our table, but I was like eating dinner, and then I just like took one quick little bite of it, and then by the end of the night it was like crusty and gone. So I think for one of our anniversaries I'm gonna have to get another cake. I'm so sad about it. But anyway, all right, so desserts and bakery items. Okay, and then as the day gets closer, you can kind of decide on some filler items. Maybe like if you're doing a guest book service, or like a telephone thing. I think I mentioned that in the trends episode. Or if you want to do a photo booth, or if you want to do like a live guitarist or a harpist or something like that. You could do those probably 3-4 months out from the wedding date. And then if you got really down to the wire and just needed some extra hands, you could book a transportation service throughout the day, or some of those little items like that might fill in the gaps of your wedding day. If there's anything else you still need, bartenders usually come with the caterers, but you can always look for those on your own as well. So, woo! Sorry, I've dropped this. All right, so I hope that wasn't overwhelming for anyone. But again, there are so many ways you could celebrate your wedding. You do not have to do the traditional route. I think all of that is very traditional. It's very expected, and that's fine. That's amazing. That's all part of the fun. But if you're like, I don't want to do any of that. I want to run away to Yosemite and elope with my love and camp and have an intimate celebration, do that. Forget all of this. Just hire me and we'll go together. How fun would that be? But you can do your wedding any way you want to. You can do a courthouse elopement. You can do a private yacht and just go enjoy the Amalfi Coast with your love. You could take your best friends in the whole world and do an intimate wedding somewhere amazing. You could do anything you want. But this is if you're doing that traditional day, whether you have a big budget or small budget, but you just want to have a party and celebrate entering into marriage. Here's some suggestions for you. I hope that was encouraging. I hope it helps debunk a little bit and maybe de-stress you a little bit. Obviously, again, I know so many vendors that I highly recommend in the Midwest area, but also I know some people in LA and the Southern California area, as well as New York, all areas that I would love to shoot in soon. So if you're planning a wedding or elopement in those spots, hit me up. But yeah, if you have any questions or just want to be connected to some more wedding vendors in the future, just let me know and I can always send them your way. I hope this was helpful for you. I hope you have an amazing day. And if you're engaged, congratulations. Enjoy every second of it. It's so much fun. But guess what? Marriage is even better. So have fun with that. And if you're not, you're just listening. Hey, thanks for listening. I'm so glad you're here. And I have a date with my husband. We're going to the Cheesecake Factory tonight. I'm so excited. We have a gift card, and so we're not going to get dinner. We're just going to get the best part of the menu, which is the cheesecake and hopefully the bread. So I'm going to go enjoy that. But enjoy your day, guys. Bye.